coming. We're very thankful that we have such a great group of the next generation of Cleveland here with us. That will be our first special presentation, but we do have a special introduction today, and I will ask Councilman at Large, Councilman Dan Moore, to introduce our special guest.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I have Charlie White. He is a junior at Cleveland High School, 15 years old, just a good kid, wanted to be councilman for the day. So.
Fantastic. Welcome.
All right.
So we have a job shadowing councilman of the day from Cleveland High School.
Yeah.
And we have the award-winning Cleveland Middle School beta team with us today. All right, and so if I could have all the award-winning beta club members join me up front, and I'll go to the podium. I've got a special presentation for you. I'm glad you're here. All right, we'll do this. We'll do a circle so we can do a picture to make me look even shorter. Because everyone's taller than me. I think it's chicken nuggets. I think that's what it is.
Move down. Move down.
To your left, to your left, to your left, to your left.
Keep going. That's just like being mayor. People tell me what to do all day long. Hey, first of all, as a grandfather of a Cleveland middle schooler, let me tell you personally how very proud I am of you. I am so proud of this national award that you all have won, and I'm so incredibly thankful that you represent all of us and the city of Cleveland and the city council behind you so well wherever you go. So on behalf of all of us, thank you and congratulations, and let me read you your very own proclamation. Presented to the Cleveland Middle School Beta Club in special recognition of the Cleveland Middle School Beta Club earning a national championship at the 2025 National Beta Convention in Orlando, Florida, winning first place national champions for a project proposed for their Advice Cream podcast. You won second place national champions for robotics and multiple top 10 national placements in academic testing, performing arts, and technology innovation, presented on behalf of the Cleveland City Council today, July 28th, Mayor Kevin Brooks. And again, on behalf of all of us, we are so proud of you. Congratulations. Okay. Yes. Okay, I'm going to slide right in here in the middle. You hold this. Council, if y'all will keep standing. Tom, you're always standing. Even when you're sitting. Seth, can you grab a shot for the city?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so parents, grandparents, thank you for your support of this incredible group. I know it is not only a challenge, it is time off of your busy schedules and your work schedules. Some of us had to leave work today to come to this meeting. So thank you for your commitment to the next generation. And to you guys, we talk about all these companies that want to come to Cleveland. We talk about all these employers that are coming here. You are the next generation, the best and brightest of the workforce that Cleveland, Tennessee is producing. So I'm very proud of you. Look forward to seeing all the next wonderful achievements that you make, and hang that up somewhere that you like. Thanks again. You're welcome to stay. It gets very boring very quickly. So you don't have to stay, but we're thrilled. Look, he's leaving. I like it. Smart. All right. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, moms and dads.
Oh, hi. Are we leaving now?
That's what I heard.
That's up to Maria.
Mommy, can I go with Caroline? That was Thanks, guys. Okay. Bye. Thank you guys. We appreciate it so much.
Congratulations. All right, so that was our special guest introduction of Charlie White and our special presentation for the Cleveland Middle School Beta Club. It says high school on our agenda, but that's middle school. I don't have any other scheduled special presentations, but I do have the opportunity for anyone who would like to speak to the council. If there's anything, please indicate by raising your hand. I don't see any takers, so to take us immediately to our city manager report. Mr. Clivis, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Also, from the Beta Club, I think that former Councilman Dale Hughes was highly involved in the Beta Club National. I think he was in charge of the whole organization at some point. Well, thank you so much, and glad to see everyone. I think that we started out by going and looking at the restrooms at Deer Park. We're here to give you first experiences that you've ever had, which is a ribbon cutting at a restroom. But really, as we discussed out there, that's really the prototype of what we want to do with all of our restroom facilities over a several-year period is to do a couple a year. We think that it will be much easier for maintenance and maintaining that. Certainly if you have questions, so when we talk about redoing restrooms, I wanted to have everyone have a vision of kind of what that product is and what that looks like. I think that the second announcement is that they are doing construction on sidewalks and driveways at Cookout today. It'll probably be done tomorrow, but 25th Street has a little bit of a traffic issue, but that's it's not our project. They're just doing some work and they'll be finished up tomorrow. Third item is that on August 11th at 12 o'clock we will have a special presentation. It'll be our Parks and Recreation Master Plan. We embarked on this a while ago, and we've had community meetings, they've had feedback, and they kind of have a road print to the future in our Parks and Recreation Department. While I'm not usually excited about doing planning just for planning's sakes, is that this is actually an important master plan because you have to have one of these in place to be able to apply for state grants in Parks and Recreation. Like the Jim Sharp Park is largely funded with one of these programs. We would not be able to apply in the future if we hadn't have done this. So, and usually those grants are somewhere between $500 and $1 million or so. And so the return on the investment on doing this planning is actually significant. But I also think there's some real value in seeing kind of what the community's standpoint is on Parks and Recreation, and from A to Z, from staffing to our facilities to things in the future that we need to think about. So we'll be likely here in this room. Not fully determined yet, but certainly be here, and we'll provide lunch since you won't have time to be able to get that. The next item is that we have a lot of things on the horizon as far as larger projects and discussions. I thought that it was important to get a council strategic planning session on the books it won't be like an early all-day thing. It'll probably start at 12 or 1 o'clock, just like a normal meeting, but we'll have some level of a process that we'll go through and talk about what are the big things in our horizon, what are some decisions that are going to have to come up and do that. I have listed as September 8th. I know for that September 8th doesn't work, so September 22nd, if anyone has any concerns with that, just let me know offline. Obviously, that's one that we'd want to schedule that we know that everyone can be at. So look at your calendars and let me know. And before we get there, we'll talk about what the agenda looks like. People may have agendas that they want to discuss and all that good stuff. We are scheduled to visit the College Hill Community Garden on August 25th. That may be pushed if it's the weather like it is now, where it's 100+ degrees and we may want to hold off. They are, I think, completing their pavilion coming up, and they have a really nice facility over there. And I just thought it would be good to get an update from not only City Fields, but also the College Hill Neighborhood Association on what are the things going on. But rest assured, we're not going to do it in 100-degree weather and do that. So we'll kind of play with that timeline a little bit. But does anyone have any questions on the community garden? Looking out over there, I mean, it's a fantastic facility, and they're having a lot of success. They basically have so many vegetables that they go door to door handing out vegetables to people in their community, and it's a success. We have also on August 5th at 8 a.m. At the Tennessee Municipal League's, it's a conference, but at 8 a.m. that we will receive the award for the best economic or community and economic development project in the state. It's for the Inman Corridor and Johnston Park, and certainly we'll provide tickets for anyone that wanted to go and have breakfast. And we've been to them before, and it's a great event. There's a lot of people from different cities winning awards, and certainly encourage if people can fit that in their calendar. That would be in Chattanooga, and we can provide transportation, so you don't have to worry about parking and all that. It's at the convention center down there. So if you're interested in attending, let me know. Anyone have any questions on the TML event? I know are you the vice president?
I'm just there to show up. Yes, I am currently the vice president representing our city.
Yes.
And all the members, by the way, are able and encouraged to attend Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So it is a great conference of Tennessee Municipal League.
Good. Well, if there's aren't any further questions, we'll move to the one of the main events, which is on the agenda today. We have the further disposition of the Whirlpool property that is the 50 acres on the other side of the railroad tracks. If you recall, there's going to be a presentation here. You have a copy of this in front of you. This is obviously what it looks like now. The picture was not as fuzzy on my computer screen, but so that you see kind of what we're looking at there, and people have driven past that and understand that. So about 12 years ago, after a lot of stress and struggle, the city was able to get Whirlpool to build a new factory in Cleveland, which everyone knows. They're still our largest employer. And At that time, there was a lot of conversations. We worked very closely with Whirlpool as they transitioned out of their old foundry into their new facility. Worked with Whirlpool. There was all kinds of developers and developments, or people paid by Whirlpool to come and help do that. Nothing took off, and we went back and forth for a long time. We had even went up and visited them, trying to impress upon their leadership in Benton Harbor that they needed to do X, Y, and Z. And a few years later, in January of 2022, they sold that property to, or pretty much all their holdings in Cleveland, except for the ones they use right now, to Phoenix Investors, LLC. And so that started a new adventure, and we'd been working with them, and we looked at development opportunities, and weren't able to get that off the ground. And then it came down to having them do an outright purchase, and we did an appraisal. We went through the appraisal process. We have something that's just slightly beneath the appraisal price in this. And last, I think August, the council said, approved the agreement to actually sell the property. To go through the process, we needed to make sure that we didn't have any environmental liability. So we went through to make sure that TDEC could give us that assurance. You have to do a phase 1 and a phase 2, which luckily the state gave us $100,000 to help pay for the majority of the costs on the phase 2, if not all the costs. So we're at that point, and the way we're going to imminently get the phase 2 results, and we're going to have to close relatively quickly after we get those results, within 5 days. We met with the TDOT Director of Remediation, Steve Sanders, and his staff was there in Cleveland, and the mayor was there, and our staff was there. We toured the site. We talked about what the future options are, and they were very helpful. One of the questions that we asked was, do you have any concerns with us purchasing this property? Does that put us in any disadvantage or any environmental concern? And they said no, they would actually prefer us to be the owners, because it would help their mitigation processes to some sort. That at the end of the day, they said that we will give you a letter, which is technically called a comfort letter, which is in your packet, and they indicated that we would have that we would kind of be an innocent party, which is our terminology, is that they can't come back at us for any of the past environmental contamination that may or may not be there. And that letter pretty much gives us the level of comfort to be able to close and move on. We have an environmental attorney that you guys are looking at the engagement letter today, but we've had some conversations. He did not think that this was anywhere out of unusual, that this is a good process, meaning that that this was their typical process, and there wasn't anything that caused any concerns from his standpoint. Why are we purchasing this property? Had a number of questions. First of all, it is 50 acres, and it can certainly, where we're getting very little revenue off is increase the revenue after the property gets redeveloped and we put back in the private hands as much as possible. We'll get some additional revenue, but also to clean up the blight. The the neighbors and Cleveland residents that live around this, the downtown properties, you know, that it impacts their property values by having this site on there. Cleaning it up and putting it back on the market and making it usable would certainly be helpful from a property value standpoint. We do, as you know, have a bridge project that it uses some of this property, and that some of that would be able to be used for that. And one of the things that about a third of the property is in the flood plain area, and because of that, it would be very difficult to do any vertical construction on that. One of the things that we discussed with TDOT is making it into a park facility. They like that. Not the lake that's on there. The lake probably won't materialize unless you have a concrete bottom to it, and you can do that. But it would be, there's a stream that goes through there. You'd probably open up the stream and do some environmental remediation around that. So you would have a little bit of a regional park area there, potentially, if that's what the council wanted to do, or just green space. There are probably opportunities for housing. They were pretty clear that there would be no single-family housing allowed on this, but commercial housing would be allowable per federal and state statutes, and they'll look at that and work with us to figure out and tell us what we can and cannot do with the property at that right time. And then lastly, we're creating a legacy for the next 100 years, putting it back in the hands, and you know, I don't think we should be shy about saying that this has been very difficult. Is that Doug is in the corner? Doug will shake his head and say this has been a long process, and it will probably continue to have some, you know, take some time to work through many of the issues that are out there. The next steps, if the council decides to close this, which could happen at any time, and TDEC, as we indicated, has said that they're comfortable with this. After we close this, then that's when we would start conversations with our team, mostly being Mr. Crop, which is the environmental attorney that is on the agenda today, and SNME, which is our environmental consultants. They will work to finish our VOAP, our voluntary cleanup oversight and assistance program, which basically, when you get that, that indicates how everything's going to proceed and clean that up. TDEC was, you know, doesn't anticipate it to being a huge long process, but there are some indicators as far as what could delay the process in the remediation. You know, one of the things that TDEC said was that is probably less contaminated as what they thought before. I don't know what that means. I don't know what they thought before, but I thought that was at least encouraging. And then once we are done with the VOAP process, we'll begin looking at potential brownfield grants from the federal and state levels to help do cleanup and put the property back in use. So, a couple things to be aware of. Is that, you know, we're fixing a problem that's been around for about 100 years, or that will benefit us for about 100 years. The process will take some time. It could take another few years to have the site fully ready for redevelopment, and it's possible to develop in phases as cleanup continues. If we follow the TDEC procedures that are outlined in the letter that we gave you, we'll be an innocent party. Cleveland still needs to get we have approval from FRA to remove the right-of-way. We're working with them to get all those things that allows the bridge to land there. We talked to TDEC about what that interaction looks like, about the potential cleanup and that, and there's some things that would have to be worked through. The good part is where the bridge lands is historically just been a parking lot area, and it hasn't really ever had major activity from environmental where their plants were located at. And then you have a third of the property is in floodplain. This area likely be suggested by TDEC to be a park without the pond. And as I've said, we hired Mr. Wayne Kropp, environmental consultants, to do this. And then, as we discussed last, that we have an abandonment of a part of 6th Street because they want to be able to back their trucks out of that storage facility that they have, so they get part of that.
Can you show me that abandonment part?
I can show you. Yeah.
Thanks.
Basically, it just goes out into the road and does that. And I don't know when that would actually take place as far as making any changes.
I just want to see physically the schematic.
Yep. So that's kind of everything I know, and happy to address any questions. We've had a team working on this. Seth Sumner. Kathy Andrews has extensive background in brownfield programs, and so we spent a lot of hours trying to get this across the finish line, but we're happy to address any questions.
So, Joe, will it go down? We're talking about abandoning 6th Street, right there in front of their current store.
Any other council questions, comments? That's Doc.
I was just curious on the attorney we hired.
Yeah.
I'm just curious of the method of who we hired and their expertise as far as they're knowledgeable doing this type of situation. There was no one in Cleveland.
I'm not aware of anyone in Cleveland that does that work. John Kimball was a part of the interview process. There was a number of suggestions that were given to us. Some people came recommended, and we sat down with Mr. Kropp. He was very, very familiar with Cleveland, and I don't know, John, if you have any questions on.
Answer that question, Councilman Goff. There's no way in Cleveland that does this kind of work. Mr. Kropp's been doing that for 30, 40 plus years. He's the other person that they named that was recommended. I think he's a chance spawner, but he's getting ready to retire. And given that this might be a process that goes on a while, we think you want somebody who's getting ready to retire.
I figured he'd probably be pretty specialized.
Very.
Did he give any indication or would even have an idea of what this kind of process could potentially cost to oversee?
For
services to like go through this process with TA? Is it a long process? Is it expensive?
I couldn't. He did not give us any of that. I mean, it could take some time. Wouldn't want to put a number on there, and hopefully it goes as smooth as what TDOT indicates that it could. You know, a lot of the conversation will be not with us, but with other partners that had done some of the work in the past as far as operating the plant. So we have a pretty small role in it as far as getting our VOAP letter.
My last question, just curious, did they mention why residential is not, is a problem with the ground that it wouldn't allow residential to be built there, as you said earlier?
Yeah, I don't want to speak for them. Some of this is just in kind of conversation. It's not a very deep. If you have a residential property, you could live there for 20 years. Other types of more transient properties that you don't usually live in the same area for a long time, and you don't. If there are any exposures that they don't do that, it's a pretty typical. From what I understand from federal EPA, that on these brownfield sites that you wouldn't allow single-family homes to go back there. So I think it's just pretty typical.
Any other comments or questions from the council?
Do you need anything on our agenda at 3 o'clock that's not on there? Do you need action on anything other than what's...
Yeah, I think it's just some direction on, you guys have already approved the agreement. We have a signed agreement between Cleveland and Phoenix Investors from last year. What we're doing is we just want to make sure that if the council wants to stop the process, then this would be the time to interject and do that before we get into the closing process. And it would probably be helpful to know that before we closed it.
Mayor, can you have that, please?
Councilman, we do have item L, formal real properties purchase, discussion and possible action is under new business L. Do you want to expand that? Or
Nope,
expound?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm writing it out right now, sorry.
Any other comments or questions, additions for 3 o'clock? Seeing none, Mr. Thomas, back to you.
I don't have anything else unless we're moving along on Tinsley. You can't see a lot of action at Tinsley, but there's a lot of work going down towards where the dog parks are. We're going to work, as we talked about before, we're going to work our way out of there. Jim Sharp Park is going along pretty well. I had the opportunity this weekend to walk under the bridge for the first time, and I think that's going to be a great amenity for that area. Just other items happening in the city. If not, Mr. Mayor, I'll start with the agenda review.
Proceed with the review of 3 o'clock again. Unless Junior Thompson White has any comments. All right, over here.
At 3 o'clock, we'll start off with a public hearing to hear public comments on a request by Peggy Pesterfield for the consideration of ordinance to zone 1.14 acres of property along Peerless Road from R1 to R2. This was approved by the Planning Commission 6-0. One of the things that's happening there is as many of you know, that there are already a lot of R2, a lot of duplexes along there. Even on this property, there are duplexes, and I think they want to build another duplex, but the zoning wouldn't allow for another duplex to go in, so you have to change the zoning to R2. So the Planning Commission didn't have any concerns with that. Item 6B is to hear comments from Dan Smith, plan of service annexation of 0.34 acres. This is on Strawberry Lane. Strawberry Lane is over by APD 40 on Lewis Street, which I believe is in Mr. May's district. So basically it's a standalone lot, and I think that they want to develop some lower density single and multifamily properties there. Item 6C is to hear public comments concerning requests by Bill Sanders for consideration of plan of service annexation and ordinance of 16 acres on Pleasant Grove Road. As you looked at the map, is they want to go from a county zoning to CH. This sits behind, I think, the pilot back there and in front of the landfill. It's probably not conducive for residential construction, but they have some ideas for commercial in that area. We have item 6D to hear public comments from the city of Cleveland, to hear pretty much an expansion of the IGC Interstate Gateway. Basically, if you approve item C, we would expand the Interstate Gateway to include the 16 acres. Item E, hear public comments related to Winstead Partnership, considering the ordinance to zone about 52 acres on Stone Lake Road from CH to PUD zoning. We're going to hold the public hearing today because it was advertised. They're working out some, they're very close, and the engineer was not able to be here today, so we decided that it's just better to wait a couple weeks before we started voting on there. They have a couple things they're working on, and then they'll bring it back probably in 2 weeks on that. So we're going to do the public hearing, but Mr. Mayor, we would take that item off the agenda.
Under new business?
Yes,
Item J.
yes.
These, if you're taking,
We're going to hold the public hearing, which is D as in Edward, and we're going to remove the new business zoning ordinance J 2025-41 under new business. HIJ.
And I think they're very close on that. I just think they want to make sure you have two developments that are working together to make sure that their roadways are connecting and making sure that they don't lose any units, and they just want to make sure they get that right before they move forward. So that will be probably brought back in 2 weeks. Next item is item F, which is to hear public comments concerning 22 acres on William Street from R1 to a PUD. We've heard some conversations on this. Robert, do you want to come up and give a little bit of a highlight on this, since we have a little bit of time? There's some background, some back and forth. It came to the council, we sent it back, and Robert will kind of clear up the record as you go into your public hearing.
Yes, sir. Thank you. This is one that went to the Planning Commission. There was a lot of comments and discussion on it. The Planning Commission at that time recommended against it. The applicant then had a conversation with me regarding some of the comments at the Planning Commission, and said, I'd like to pull back, redo my plan, and go back to the Planning Commission before we go to City Council. This body sent it back officially to the Planning Commission to follow procedure, and they changed the access points, as well as solidified some of the requirements and things that I'd asked them to do, buffering, infrastructure improvements. They are significant on this PUD. I would think, or venture to say, the buffer that the PUD requires is probably one of the most extensive buffers I think we've ever required. And the applicant is extremely positive about this. They understand it and they want to work with us. They've dropped their unit count, so a lot of things changed. We took it back to the Planning Commission, at which point many of the people who spoke initially against the development just came and said they actually supported it, because the protections that the PUD offered versus a different type of development is better for them. And so hearing all that and the changes and that we put in the PUD from a staff perspective, excuse me, the Planning Commission did recommend unanimously to approve. So we're now back here at the City Council level with a much better product than what we had before, I think. So that's kind of where that's at. It's a little bit of a roller coaster, but it's for the betterment of the development and the surrounding neighborhoods. So I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Yeah, I've had some calls before.
Yes.
And then they've changed their mind.
Yes, sir.
And they think that would be better for them than what possibly could go in there.
That's correct. You know, and when I first looked at this, the first thing that came out of my mouth in talking to this proposed developer was, you're going to have to make some changes. We're going to have to do a buffer, and we've got to figure out how to do better infrastructure for 20th Street and getting into the development. And so we worked through that. It took a little time, but we're there. And I think, you know, I actually went out to the neighborhood, met with a few people personally, and showed them kind of the difference in types of development, and they saw it. They could see what I was saying and how it protects their investment. They've already made better than
Yeah.
some alternatives.
You did a good job.
Thank you.
Evidently.
Well,
But
we try.
the phone calls I got over the weekend, I think they're okay with what you showed them.
Yes.
But they're still concerned at what point that buffer will go in. And they know we've had other projects.
Yes. So, and the Planning Commission recognized that exact issue, and their recommendation is that we add to the PUD language that states that buffer must be installed before the first building permit is issued.
That's good.
So I think if we do that, and that buffers, they'll do their site work, at which point that buffer will be a part of that, and you know, before we get to a final plat and all that, that buffer is going to go
I
in.
think it'll help the developer on, his site won't be as visible
That's right.
to the neighbors.
Yes.
If the buffer.
Protected, and visibly protected, and trees and whatnot, so.
And also concerned a little about the road.
Sure, yes, and the PUD does require a left turn lane on 20th Street. It requires the improvements of Neely Circle. They actually have to raise the road up to the elevation closer to where 20th Street is, because if you've been on Neely, it's kind of like this. It's a little bit of, yeah. So you come down on 20th like that, Neely's like this, so if you raise Neely up, your sight distance is improved. And so the PUD language that Dave Shealy and I worked on together requires that those improvements be made. And the Planning Commission wanted that stuff to be in place as well before any units are.
It will be in place before the development.
During the initial phases of development, yes.
I think we also said something about all the heavy machinery trucks will come in through Neely Circle, none on Williams.
That's correct, yeah. And William Street itself will actually be closed off. There's one undeveloped parcel on William Street that's less than 2 acres that will still have access to William Street. So, but from that point in, there's no access to William
I noticed
Street.
that on the plan.
Yeah, so that'll close that.
Vice Mayor Webb, you have a question?
David, I also received a call from one of the neighbors that was opposed originally, and with these changes was very much in favor of the new plan.
Okay, good.
I think they've made a good decision.
I do too.
I think we all saw that email too from one of the neighbors that was reassuring. Made me feel more comfortable. Where's the left turn lane gonna be? Just when you come down the hill? there?
Yeah, so by moving it from Williams to Neely, we gained a little bit more distance from that slope. And so it'll be, we'll have to do a little of that through site review to see exactly, but it requires a certain length, and so it's going to push back towards William Street where that is. But you come down that slope and then you'll move into that left turn lane, and so as through traffic goes through, these cars ideally are completely out of the way as they come over the top of that hill.
Closer getting to where it starts to 4-lane?
No, it's the part where it comes down right there. So you've got Williams and Neely kind of next to each other. You come down, it's right in that part. But once you get down, not at the top of the hill.
So if you do have traffic building up, it'll be visible at the top of the hill. I just worry about cars coming down and saying, oh no, I need to turn.
Yes.
And there's 4 cars stacked.
Already stacked there, that's right. So, and Dave and I have talked about that, and so some of the issues with the length of that, we have to make sure that the stacking is sufficient for the number of people coming in and out of it, and that's what we'll be looking at as we go through site review.
Any other comments or questions from the council? Thank you, Mr. Barnell.
Thank you.
Very helpful. Mr. Fivas? Welcome back.
All right, moving on, the consent agenda. We have the authorize the city to join the state of Tennessee and other local governments by amending the Tennessee State Subdivision Opioid Abatement Agreement. Basically, it's another settlement agreement with another opioid company, and occasionally they'll send us a few $1,000s here and a few $1,000s there. Item 7B is authorizing the city to purchase through a master intergovernmental cooperative door controllers and hardware for Gymshark Park. Basically, this is for the electric magnetic locking systems.
Good question. I was asked, what time do those open and close automatically? And I'm assuming it's the same at all the parks.
Let me get you the exact answer. I'll probably have it to you before I sit down. So basically, and these are actually, we had on our park system, we have an older system, that there's better systems out there, and this is a little bit of a better system that can be programmable, and has more options included in that. So over time, we'll probably, as the other ones break down, we'll probably add these to the rest of our parks.
Joe,
Yeah.
this system.
Oh, I told you, it locks at 10 o'clock, 10 p.m.
When does it unlock?
Oh, I'm sure I'll get a text in a minute. So whoever's watching needs to send me when they unopen.
Maybe someone watching.
I think there is.
These lock, this system, does it work on the lock, or is it an electromagnet
It's electromagnetics.
that holds the door?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and now the new systems are, oh, there it is, 6 a.m. Technology at work. Yeah.
Had it all the time, Joe.
Mr. Fivas?
Yes, sir.
Our junior councilman White has a question.
Oh, good.
So there's an 8-hour difference between when it locks and when it opens. What if somebody's in there past that period of time, from in that period of time?
Inside there's a release, so you can hit the button and it releases the electromagnetic lock, so you can't be locked in there. We have had with our current system in the past is that you have folks in our community that will actually know that it closes at 10 and will actually either get in there before or they will jam the system. So we have to do a lot of, so by the time we leave at 5 o'clock to the time at 10 o'clock, so it's a constant battle. But with this new upgraded system, it gives us much more functionality, and it's less easier to jam it.
Joe, do we
Yeah.
have cameras on the outside that would tell if someone had propped the door open, or?
In the past we didn't, but this also has a camera system, so that in a live fashion with CPD, as you guys looked at, is that you'll be able to see, and we have a number of incidents that we'll see that someone's in there that shouldn't be in there, and they'll send out a police car and get them out and all that stuff. So
We don't have cameras inside.
we do not have cameras inside. We do not have cameras inside. And do I need to repeat that again? This allows the item number C, Resolution 2561, authorize the mayor to sign a license agreement for TDOT for maintenance of the sidewalk underneath I-75 at Norman Chapel. Every time you go underneath there, you have these license agreements, and every year we have to approve them. So this is our annual reapproval. Okay, let's talk about item 7D. This is the 25th Street Drainage Project. This is actually state and federal funding for this. We have two projects that are drainage projects. One is on Michigan Avenue, and that should come probably at the next meeting to assist with doing future road improvements on Michigan Avenue. But then you have at the 20th Street and Michigan Avenue intersection is where that's located. But this one is at Peerless and 25th Street, and we've talked about this in the past. Essentially, you have an older facility underneath that road that's been there for when they first built that. And this project will allow us to redo that and put in a new facility. But also, there's a huge water line that goes right through there. So if we ever wanted to expand that intersection in the future, that you would have to remove the water line and probably update the facility. So with this state and federal money, there's this project that we've been working on that allows us to elongate that, makes it longer, and will give us options in the future from a roadway standpoint. And this is just the stormwater piece of it. It also, there's a number of stormwater lines that go underneath that intersection at Peerless and 25th Street, and that will have put sleeves in them and will be upgraded and all that. Put this out to bid. It actually came in under bid. Wright Construction was the low bidder. In the contract, we specifically, and here's the part that's not as fun, is that you will have to close down Peerless for intermittently for several weeks. In the contract, there's an incentive that they need to get it done within 6 weeks. So we incentivize them to do that, and that was one of the things that that was critical to make sure that happens. So essentially, you have an intersection. It was at some points it might be partially down, at some points it might be all the way down, but it will be back up. Been talking to our team, David and Tommy, is that we have a pretty elaborate signing system that will try to get people to make decisions before they get to Peerless. You'll have signs at Key Street and the Church of God that will say, hey, Peerless is closed, so you may want to take Keith as an alternative route. Same thing coming down Peerless, so there'll be signs up at Raider Drive saying, you know, this intersection is closed, you either need to take Norman Chapel or you need to take Raider Drive, and I think they have a pretty good plan as far as giving notification to drivers about this.
That Clinging Bridge, will it continue to be open?
It will.
Yeah.
And that will see its fair share of traffic for sure. We would like them to make a decision a little bit earlier and not get all the way down there, but that won't happen.
Joe, do these improvements in the design help with those drop-offs at that intersection to the ditch? Or is this designed to help any of that? You know, some pretty steep drop-offs.
This just makes the intersection wider. And some of that, because you're making it wider, it will decrease the amount of drop-off area, especially around the intersection.
We've seen trucks drop off.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
width, it'll give them more room to
Yeah, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And just as, that is a federal highway, and we've talked to the state and the feds about that and there. But this will help right around the intersection of many of those safety issues.
Do you have any idea when the project will start?
If approved today, Wright Brothers will probably have pre-construction meetings probably around September 1st, and I imagine it will start sometime in September and hopefully be done by the end of the year. But it will only be closed for the incentivized time there. There's a lot of work, like there's a huge water line that needs to be we can do all that work without impacting the flow of traffic. I mean, it might have a little bit of impact, but the actual close down is when you're taking out that structure and putting in a new structure.
Are you saying the water line's got to be moved?
Yes.
That's part of it?
That's part of the project. Yeah, that's in the price to move that.
So, when you say Clinton Ridge will stay open, will it get to Peerless Road if I'm heading towards the interstate? This side's closed, that side's closed, I go straight across? Is that what you're saying? If you go behind my, strip center there, past the Catholic Church.
I just want to make sure. Say it
Will
again.
Peerless be closed on both sides of me right there? When I get to that stop?
Peerless will only be closed right at the intersection between 25th Street and Peerless.
Okay. I'm just trying to think. I mean, I'll see additional traffic come through my parking lot and say, cut across me.
And we can help with the signage of that and put up specific signage to make sure that it's not a cut through or whatever. And we're happy to do whatever is needed there.
Okay. That is the detour. It is currently the detour, so I can't imagine when you shut it off there.
Yeah, I don't think anyone knows that they can get through there.
Anyone?
I'm kidding. Now the whole city now the whole city knows.
I need to push this mute button. No, that would help, Joe. Seriously, Tommy. Whenever that starts to take place.
Yeah, we'll David's here. He heard that. He'll do that. We'll probably once we get Wright Brothers here, we'll probably have a plan. We'll probably even share the road closure plan. I mean, it's not, the timing isn't great. Anytime you close down a road, it's not wonderful. The long and the short of it is you have federal and state money that will help make this intersection in the future wider and longer, and instead of having 4 lanes, you can probably get 5 or 6.
Councilman, I only used to cut through when I'm going to Becky's.
It's perfectly fine. I'm just imagining the impact it will have.
It will be a huge impact.
Joe, you're
And it's my
Hold on
driveway
one second.
below the church, as I was informed recently, that I maintain. I had to fix some potholes over there.
Really?
Yeah, I could see some impact. Thanks.
Councilwoman McKenzie, you got a question?
Yes, sir. You're mentioning some detours on the north side, 25th Street. Are there going to be any on the south side of 25th Street where you're coming down there by Wendy's? Will there be any detours on that side to go around?
Yeah, you just could not go straight. If you're coming down Peerless past the Wendy's, you couldn't go straight across the
You
street.
would have to turn on 25th Street or before?
Yeah, you would have to know that you're either going to go up the west side and around Norman Chapel, or you're going to go down to Keith and around for 6 weeks.
That'll be posted as well.
I'm getting a nod, yes.
Thank you.
Any more questions on that? And again, this was some of the money on this could only be used for stormwater and like utility stuff, and that's why this. And there's a sister project of this at Michigan Avenue and 20th Street that's out to bid right now that we'll bring in the next few weeks. So, and then you have the engagement letter. You have that. Certainly willing to address any questions. We talked a little bit about that. Fund finished business. You have the certified tax rate, and then items. And I'm on new business. Items A, B, C, D. Pretty much all the items. J comes off, and then you have the former Whirlpool property purchase discussion and possible action at the end.
All right, any comments or questions from the council? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Price. That takes us to announcements, actually, takes us to the reports of council members. We begin with Councilman Castleton.
Thank you, Mayor. Joe, do we have a code enforcement on trash cans? I think we do, by getting them out and getting them in. What's the earliest time you can get them out to pick up that day and get them back in that evening, or for trash cans, city pickup trash cans? I'm having some problems with trash cans sitting on the sidewalk the whole week.
Okay, and that's against the ordinance. I believe it's 24 hours, Tommy?
That's right.
Yeah. Can I have codes go down Highway 60, because I've got some rental property, they just sit them out there and they just leave them out there, and it's really an eyesore for that road after it's been redone, so let's see what we can do to.
Are they residences there that are?
Yeah, it's rental property, and they've got 3 or 4 sitting out there all the time. They just take bags. I just want to get them pulled off off the road. It's just people walking. And also too, with that, I'll say this, I'm seeing more people walking on Highway 60 on sidewalks now, using those sidewalks. I mean, if you go late in the evening, you'll see couples and everybody else is using those sidewalks a lot more. So I appreciate TDOT and the state providing sidewalks on both sides of that thing. While we're on TDOT, David, real quick, we talked about turn lanes in some of the areas. Have you heard anything back from them yet on striping on that part? Okay.
I have not.
Okay. Will you let me know when you hear something back?
Absolutely.
Okay, I appreciate you working with them too, getting them to do several other little small projects for neighborhoods and people over there too. So thank you for that. Mayor, that's all I have.
Thanks, Councilman. Councilman May.
No, I don't have it.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Goff.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Ocala open up very soon. And great to see that Culver's is finally broken ground as well. So 2 good ones coming. Do you mind to give us a quick update on code enforcement's AAC accreditation?
Robert, you want to do that? Code enforcement accreditation.
Welcome back.
Yes. Everybody likes to hear me talk. The AACE is an accreditation, much like the police and fire. In my department, Joel Prince submitted and began this process about a year ago, just comparing our general practices and procedures to what they say is the national gold standard or what have you. So through that 12-month process, we submitted the way we do things, when it comes to how we not only follow through with people, but it's the ethics and things like that we follow. And when we get the official documentation and things, I'm going to come back and talk about it a little bit more. But what this means for us is that the processes and procedures that we utilize every day are at that level that they can look at us, much like police and fire, and say, yeah, you're meeting that standard and doing things legally, ethically, and correct the way we should be. So it's a good look for us and our staff to you know, code enforcement, it's a difficult thing to deal with. And we try to be consistent and treat people with respect and work through that. And by having this accreditation, you know, it kind of shows that that's who we are as a team. And, you know, I'm proud of those guys for the work they do. But once we get that official documentation, I'm going to come back in and we'll talk about it a little bit more in depth. But really, it's a lot of work by Joel Prince and our code enforcement staff, just submitting all this documentation and showing here's how we do it. It's a national organization, nonprofit, and to just compare ourselves to, I mean, even some of the bigger cities in Texas and things like that had that same accreditation. For our size town, it's a good thing. Yeah. So, but I'll make sure we bring in a little bit more info and share it with y'all as well.
Thank you and
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
I think one thing that would be helpful, and we had talked about this, is, you know, we've had some times where we've had some of our department units come in, and I think it would be probably helpful for everyone to get a meet and greet 101 on codes and to have them hear what some of your concerns are, give them some praise, and just have a dialogue. So that will be in the work probably the next month or so.
Any further? Vice Mayor Webb?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Moore?
John and Joe, back in May, you sent me and Ken an email, some ordinances that were passed in Athens that prohibited tents, mattresses, stuff like that. You guys said that you were going to review it. Any more thought on that?
Well, a lot of that stuff, this is the camping ordinances stuff, and a lot of that stuff was already outlawed in some ways. So we've had that question. We're happy to bring it and have a conversation and go through that. But we've looked at that. A lot of the stuff is already prohibited as far as from a camp. You can't camp on public property, and if it's a state property, there's a few state laws that allow for that. So, but we're happy to bring that and look at that. Actually, it's on my desk.
It's already prohibited, but there's campsites all over Cleveland. Behind Walmart, Hobby Lobby, off the Greenway.
Yeah, those are on private property.
Okay. I thought maybe it might be another tool in the police department.
Well, we can look at it. I mean,
I'd like to.
yeah, I mean, those camps that we as we've discussed, if, you know, I think we eliminated how many in the last couple of weeks? 2 or 3?
Yeah.
So that we pretty much have a zero tolerance policy. If there's stuff out there, if we can get to it, we proactively go, and we have a process that we worked with John, that we stake the property, tell them that we're coming in to do this, get the property owner's consent, and as long as we have access to it, we can't get our equipment and all that stuff. It makes it sometimes a little more difficult. But if there's camps out there, let us know, and we're happy to work with the property owners to help them do that. But we can look at the ordinance too.
It's just, it'd be interesting just to look at it, see its effect.
Certainly.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Councilwoman McKenzie?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I just wanted to say that, I guess it would be Public Works on the bathrooms, that did the bathrooms. I just want to say what a really nice job they did on that on the bathroom at.
It was our parks maintenance.
Parks and Maintenance, okay. I just want to say, they did a really nice job. I think those bathrooms are going to serve the community very well. And also, I wanted to say, the United Way Day of Action we had last week, I think turned out really good, and I think we did a lot of good work in our community, a lot of participants in that. And then I want to say, I'd just like to comment on what a great city we live in, with accreditations like Robert was just talking about. Our police and fire, they get accreditations. Our city does, our schools do. So we just live in a great city, and it is termed right when it says the city with spirit. That's all I have, Mayor.
Councilman Estes.
Yeah, Joe, these go together. We have a rather large encampment on 4th, 3rd, 2nd Street on the Greenway. Thanks for taking care of that. And that was I don't know, it was different than previous ones, right? And I didn't know, Robert, I didn't know how I don't know, robust it was, right? I couldn't tell exactly how robust it was. I appreciate you doing that. Which begs the question, Phase 6 of the Greenway. Can you give me an update maybe in a couple weeks where that is, or just send me an email of where we are on finishing that off? Because I know that would also help and give access to that part where we've been before. That's all. Thanks.
Yeah, I will tell you that Robert has been on the phone with them every day last week trying to get it off the dime, and is that about right? So it's the number one thing we're trying to get to the next level. It's just tricky, but we will give you an update.
Thanks. That's all.
Thanks, Councilman. Councilwoman McKenzie, I'll follow up on your United Way comments. 488 volunteers all across the city of Cleveland. 28 sites were served. I see members of our audience were there. And here's the city team at the Denning Center. So I've got to give a shout out and appreciation to all the city team that showed up and worked in a very hot trailer, moving chairs, and the Lowe's truck arrived and we unloaded a big load of wood, marginally successfully, until the cart broke. And
do we owe the school money for
I
those
think we owe
carts?
the school a lot, actually. The cart among those things that we owe. But it was just a great day, not only here at the Denning Center with the City of Cleveland team, so thanks to all the city folks that showed up and helped, but earlier in the day, a number of us were at the Caring Place, and then we all gathered at Whirlpool for a thank you luncheon. And again, almost 500 people all across our city, and I just said Mayor McKenzie, to prophetic. To Councilwoman McKenzie's comments, it really does show the city of spirit that we have. I also had a quick follow-up and question. Joe, Councilman Moore mentioned looking into and studying. This week, we all received an email from you about the Cleveland Utilities road cut, and I believe it was in the 2nd District. People cutting roads without requests or permission. You gave us the follow-up about the Cookout Restaurant. That was a TDOT. City of Cleveland was not informed until the barrels were already up. I happen to know because I got multiple comments, because that's right on the way to my real job office, and everyone wanted to know why 25th was closed.
Do we get street cuts on 25th Street?
No, not
That would be a state.
So I'm just wondering, and I realize it is a state route, and I realize the centenary is city, but I'm wondering if we need to really look at the breakdown or the communication failure between the state not letting us know that 25th, literally one of our busiest corridors, is going to be closed without notice, and then somehow look at the communication breakdown when utilities decide to have a road cut without permission. This just seems to be maybe we've been too nice for too long. Maybe the city with spirit needs to figure out a way to tighten up some things that people will...
City with a little less spirit.
Well, or city with accountability. How about that? That folks, whether it's our state partners or our utility partners, we've got to figure this out. And it just seems to me that I'm hearing more and more of this that the right hand doesn't seem to know what the left is doing, and it concerns me.
Cleveland Utilities and our staff are meeting on Friday to look at some stuff, and we've had an ongoing conversation. A lot of the issue is they have contractors, and their contractors sometimes don't follow what they're supposed to be doing, and I think that's the piece we need to figure out, is getting contractors on the same page. And it's certainly their responsibility, but as us, that we manage a lot of contractors as well, sometimes that can be tricky there. I think I think our ordinances probably need to be tightened up and brought in and revamped. And so it's an issue that we can be proactive, and we're intending to be proactive on that. I mean, it's becoming more and more prevalent.
Prevalent.
Thank you. So I think we just have to be proactive, and obviously the system we had 15 years ago when it was put in place, we've evolved, everyone's evolved, and now we need to think about what's the best way to do that. And that's the conversation that we're having proactively with that. So.
And it's not just Cleveland Utilities. 2 weeks ago,
It's AT&T, it's Chattanooga Gas.
Right.
It is not just them. It's a little bit of. I think it's at the ends, burning the candle on both sides, that maybe we need another staff person that watches, and maybe we need a notification. If we see someone coming into the street, we need to call and say, hey, do they have a permit for this? We made, in the past, I think we have the relationships all kind of work. Now, everyone's busy working on doing whatever, and I think there's some accountability on our side that we need to put some measures in, and that's what we're talking about, is how to do all those things. And I don't know, do you know any more about the 25th Street thing, David?
They went through TDOT to get a TDOT permit, so really in that situation, and I'm sure that's not the first time, their staff needs to inform our staff. And that didn't happen in this case.
Well, I guarantee you, if it had been reversed and we did something without TDOT's permission, they would let us know quickly.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of policies and procedures they have. I don't know if they're required, but I mean, I can reach out to them
Great.
and maybe open that conversation.
Sure, Councilman Cassidy.
On the cutting roads, Joe, is there options to bore under the roads too on that part? Because I know laying fiber down, everybody is going through neighborhoods. We're not cutting neighborhood roads, they're actually boring under. Is there a possibility to have an option? Because I know in the state, you don't cut fences, correct?
Correct, APD 40.
Yeah, don't cut fences, and I would like to see where the city would be, we don't cut roads. I know there's options, you have to cut roads to patch something, but not to cut it all.
The problem in boring under is you see them trying for a week to bore under a street, they can't do it, then they do the cut. You know,
Some of the gas company and some other, is that they do some boring right now. Depends on, they do the cost benefit. If they think it's an easy bore and they don't have to go and get a street cut, they do the cost benefit. I think it would be good to know kind of what those costs look like, and see what the cost benefit analysis with asphalt and flowable fill.
On the street down, having a flagger out there.
Yeah, there might be, if you do the analysis, it might actually be less expensive in many cases to actually do the boring, depending on where you're at in the flagging and the flowable fill and the materials.
Joe, I don't think the cost is a problem. They try to bore under a road, they hit rock, and it turns out to be a severe problem for them. And then that's when they cut the road. I mean, you'll see them set up and try to bore under a a road for a week, and then the next thing you see, they're gonna cut. They can't make it under. So,
I agree.
The most popular comment right now is how wonderful the paving job is on Paul Huff. Woe to whoever cuts it first, because it is so smooth and so perfect right now.
It's going to happen.
Well,
So
we-
hopefully we get this,
We have cameras put up to.
good,
to,
good. Protect our pavement, that's our new motto. All right.
But one of the things is going back, is also the flowable fill piece. That's, you know, you see a lot of, street cuts that sink. A lot of it's something that they don't have the flowable fill, which is, you know, concrete, is we need to make sure that people are following the right specs to do that. And that, if they follow the right specs and you get that to happen, we would have a better product at the end. But a lot of times things get covered up before we even get there.
To your point of hiring a new person, we can call them the pavement czar. Protect our pavement, however that looks.
That should come under code.
Any other?
Can you put that in there, Joe, for boring and the cost versus like a 36-foot road or something, to what it would cost between the two? And have that as an option in our ordinance?
Yeah, if we bring some updates to the ordinance, we'll bring that information.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from the council? Junior Councilman White, Paul, well down there on the end, all right. If there's nothing further for the council at our 1 o'clock meeting, we have no further